Welcome to another live stream, my friends. Bitcoin takes yet another plunge from the trending 4-hour resistance, which shouldn't really come as too much of a surprise to those of you following along in these live streams and in my Telegram, as I was very vocal about the possibility of trading sideways against 4-hour resistance all weekend, which we had here, before getting rejected closer to the weekly candle close. I literally streamed yesterday 2 hours before that weekly candle closed to prepare us for that exact scenario. So I hope you guys have been absolutely crushing this 7-week downtrend with me. And of course, guys, do me a favor and smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. If you've been appreciating these live streams, these level-headed and very accurate predictions lately, both on the streams and as well behind the scenes in the Telegram, we managed to not only catch the 4-hour swing short setup, which we actually started a few days in advance, but also managed to catch a continuation short earlier today as well. So if you continue listening to the wrong people and continue getting blindsided by the market and you want to start trading the charts for what they are, do yourselves a favor and scan the QR code on the screen to get access to my free Telegram channel, where I share more of my trade setup ideas, some of my favorite trade strategies, and more of my overall thoughts on the market by signing up to BloFin, a no KYC exchange that I've been trading on for well over a year now. And you guys, they did just, my partners at BloFin did just give me this new promotion. The old one expired earlier today, and they have just introduced this new one for you guys. So again, if that is something that interests you and you want access to my free Telegram channel and that sort of thing, do yourselves a favor, scan the QR code either on the poster or on the screen in front of you here. But yeah, guys, like I said, none of this should have come as too much of a surprise because we've had the same trending situation week in and week out. We have literally been trading up at the end of the week, basically Friday, Saturday, right up to our 4-hour resistance levels, where we trade sideways for the rest of Saturday and most of Sunday. And then when we get, within a couple hours, basically, of the weekly candle close, that's where we see volatility kick right back in. And that's what I was warning about as I left my stream yesterday. I said I wouldn't be too surprised if we see resistance kick into gear very quickly, basically. And that's exactly what happened just basically an hour or two after streaming. But I mean, we've seen the same thing happening basically every week for the last, month or two here, where we keep just trending up towards that weekly close and then getting rejected. But yeah, we just keep setting lower lows on the 4-hour trend, which is then confirming lower highs, right? Very basic market structure. And I've been so clear about this in my recent streams, you guys, for the last several weeks, that everybody who is saying that the bottom is in and things like that, understand that that is coming from a place of absolute nothingness. There is nothing in the chart saying that we have to have bottomed. The best thing I can see is on the weekly chart, we did come down to an 886 absolutely perfectly and get some sort of a bounce there. I treat this is not a very clean STUBER fib setup. It is a very clean 886 support level. So it's not too surprising that we got some sort of a reaction there, but I'm actually far from bullish on this setup. If anything, I just think it's obvious that we got some sort of a reaction from weekly support, but I don't know if it's actually going to end up holding. But we're going to have to see, right? First step for me is basically breaking the downtrend on the 4-hour. And in a case like this, like I said, very basic market structure. You know what? Here we had a low. This is our lower low. And that means this was our confirmed lower high, sitting at about 92.1, 92 or 93.1, 93.2 thousand US dollars approximately. And that swing fail liquidity zone basically would run up to about 95K. And that's exactly what I was saying in my Telegram. But yeah, very basic market structure, guys. I mean, even before that, let's say before this low, here was the lower low, or this was our low. This is our lower low. This was our confirmed lower high. And let's just look at it, right? The exact same setup on a smaller scale, that when we pull a fib from our confirmed lower high on the trend to our new lower low, notice where we ended up facing resistance there. So yeah, it's a lot smaller, but it's the exact same structure, you guys, where we basically got our bounce, right? We sweep our lows, we get our bounce right into resistance. Everyone gets FOMO saying the bottom is in as we're trading at resistance. And then we carry on our downtrend to the downside there. Much like what we saw on a much bigger scale here. Our next lower low, it just happened to be a much larger range, and therefore it took a much longer amount of time to play out. But it's the exact same type of market structure. So nothing has changed. We have not broken the downtrend yet. We got very close, right? Here's the thing. We tested right up to that lower high resistance, literally pinpoint accurate there, and then got rejected. And yeah, so unfortunately, it's not that anything is crazy happening with this rejection that we got. Yeah, it's a little bit aggressive. Things are volatile, but as traders, I mean, we should be welcoming this, you guys. I see so many people talking about how, oh, this is unforeseeable. This is, manipulation. There's no way to see this in advance. You guys, I was talking about this all week leading up to this resistance, just saying respect resistance if we get there, right? So literally nothing crazy happening. It's just very basic technical analysis, but most people skip over the simple stuff of, lower lows pointing out a downtrend, whereas higher highs would point out an uptrend. And it really, really has been that simple for the last 7 weeks. So, if you're just constantly getting wrecked, just take a step back, consider the fundamentals that, trading, having gut feelings about fundamentals and actually trading fundamentals are very difficult. Yes, fundamentals matter. Fundamentals do push prices in certain direction, but trying to trade that on a lower time frame, you just aren't going to have that information in time. And most people, rather than planning ahead for something like this, would actually talk poorly about this sort of thing, because everyone gets bullish as you trade into resistance, and people would actually talk down at the idea of shorting this. But then when the move actually happens, which was very predictable and very basic technical analysis, we planned ahead. Whereas people today, after that dump, are looking for reasons in the news. Why did I just get wrecked? Well, we know why they got wrecked, because they longed into resistance, right? It really is that simple. On the shorter time frames, currently still have a little bit of a downtrend, basically, as long as we're below 87K for me right now. Basically, if we break above that, that would invalidate the downtrend. And we are fairly close right now, right? We're only about $500 US. But again, we are at 5-minute resistance right now. But looking at the trend master for additional confluence on the 5-minute chart here, we have this lower sell signal, and the pivot point is just below 87K. So that's invalidated above 87K. So at this point, these buy signals, although, yeah, this buy signal did get a nice little push to the upside, just understand it's a lower trending buy signal, and we still have a downtrend here. If we end up breaking that 87K, yeah, I absolutely think that it's possible, whether or not we get some sort of a little pullback and then carry on. I think it's very possible that we end up pushing a little bit higher in that case. But don't make the mistake with me thinking that that is bullish, because the 4 hour still has a lot of work to do. We've got very close to my second target on that short. On my swing short position, only hit my first one there with the scalp I was talking about. Where was that? Right here. This scalp did smash through 2 of my take profits. I still have a chunk of that running at this point as well. I didn't update my stop loss. I'm keeping it above that 87K, but either way, it'll be at least a little bit profitable at this point. But yeah, basically until the 4 hour makes some sort of a structure break, if it would have just gone a little bit higher here, you guys, that's the thing. Even if it would have got rejected here, at least it would have been a break of this level. So a change in character. But unfortunately, we never did. So there's no signs of a bullish structure in any way for me at this point. Yeah, it's possible we are getting, we're getting closer to support of this range. We got very close to the 786, which also happens to be my second target, right? But just understand that we don't have structure favoring this. So it's just a little riskier when looking for the support side of things. I would feel much different about this support level down here had this gone just that little bit higher, because we would have structure just favoring the momentum, basically, right? We would have signs of momentum to the upside, even if we came and pulled back. That would be looking more like a retest to me in that case. But as it stands right now, yeah, we're getting potential support and it could send us higher, right? Absolutely. This is the push that could end up doing it and breaking that 7-week downtrend. It's absolutely possible. But just understand that that has not happened yet. And I'm more of a fan of trading the charts that we actually have rather than trading the charts that I hope appear a few weeks or months down the road, right? So looking at the weekly chart, basically, let's look at what happened here. So far, yeah, not looking great. Obviously, we could recover. We could even go for a nice little rally, right? I was talking about the fact that on the weekly chart, we absolutely could go for a retest of this old support into new resistance. Even if it takes a few weeks to play out, it would actually line up very well with the 0.5 fib, which would also line up very well with a nice round 100,000 US dollars. So there's a lot of things lining up there. That we could end up seeing some sort of a bounce, some sort of a relief rally where we do push a little bit higher. Like I said, maybe if we end up breaking that 87K, for example. But just understand that the bulls have so much work to do to create any sort of thoughts of all-time highs and stuff like that. And I mean, I'm already this morning seeing people saying that, oh, we're going to all-time highs in December. I literally, at this point, I can't tell if people are trolling or if they honestly believe that. Like, it's getting so ridiculous that every time there's a couple hours of green price action, people are ready to say that the bottom is in, and it's based off nothing but hopium and looking for clickbait and stuff like that, because the people who say what the majority wants to hear are obviously going to grow faster and that sort of thing. But again, guys, if you appreciate this type of live stream, and those of you who are actually serious about trading, and you want to trade the charts for what they are, you are in the right place. And if you appreciate me looking at things with a level head and looking at the charts for what they are, rather than those gut feelings, the emotions, the fundamentals, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Guys, another thing I want to point out about the weekly, I know I mentioned this on stream yesterday. I don't know, maybe a bunch of you guys were there, but just look how similar the current price action looks to how we topped last cycle. Now, honestly, I have mixed feelings about that. Part of me is thinking, well, this is obvious. This structure is all identical to last cycle. And yeah, it's obvious that we're starting our bear market. The other side of me thinks there's no frickin' way they would make it that easy, the market makers. But at this point, as long as retail keeps being willing to get wrecked and long those dips, that is liquidity that can be used as fuel for the fire, basically. So as long as retail is willing to long, which I actually forgot to get that indicator up today, but that's okay. But yeah, just look how similar this looks, right? I mean, last time we lost our horizontal and diagonal support, much like here, right? Horizontal, diagonal, nice trend lines there. And from there, basically ended up dropping to the 886 absolutely perfectly. And you can see that's exactly what happened here. Notice we traded sideways for a couple months after that. So yeah, consider the possibility that, hey, we've had a pretty straight shot to the downside. It's absolutely possible we just end up consolidating for a month or two in a bigger range, just trading sideways. Absolutely possible. But just understand that what we had back here, yeah, we got that obvious bounce off that 886, just like I was talking about earlier, got very close to that 0.5 fib, right? Like I was talking about, that 100K level retest SR flip there. So this previous cycle actually had that all play out very nicely. And of course, it does not have to play out the same. I want to be very clear about that. Fractals break all the time. However, the trend is your friend until the end, and there's just so many red flags and similarities. Even if we look at the RSI, look at where the RSI was when we ended up hitting our 886 fib, which was down here. And notice where our RSI is right now as we hit that 886 fib. We are basically, even the RSI is basically at the identical level. Just everything about this looks so similar that I'm not willing to turn a blind eye to that. I think that not only the market structure, but similarities to previous cycles and stuff, just things look a little bit nasty. So it does look like we're getting a bit of a push here. So we'll see if we can break that 115. It would actually be about 87.4K. But honestly, even breaking 87K would at least be above this pivot point with this sell signal. So that would be a nice early warning sign, basically. Oh, I do have the long short indicator up here. Let me just reload it. I don't think it's been refreshed in a little while here. Let me just reload this guy. I'm going to remove that. So this is something that I had warned about as well, that quite likely we would see retail start FOMOing into longs as we trade into resistance, right? So notice what the retail longs did. They started climbing aggressively right as we were at the top of our range here. Shorts dropped off a cliff real quickly. And just notice where we are, right? Let's look at the microstructure. Even though this is a daily chart, look at the microstructure here. Here is where we had a low. We went lower. This would be the same as the 4-hour structure I was showing, but this is just it on a daily. And notice that, yeah, basically as we end up trading into that resistance here, I can even make it more familiar and pull a fib from that level. So right as we are trading sideways at resistance, we see retail start FOMOing long again. So I love looking at this indicator because you can just see the moment where retail basically switches their bias at all the wrong times, just FOMOing in at all the wrong times. And here's a perfect example, right? Like I always say, retail loves getting FOMO and longing into resistance. Just like if we end up dropping down towards support and we start sweeping these lows, you will likely see the shorts start piling in. And that's when we can get some sort of a relief rally again, just like we did back here, right? We had retail shorts start to pile in right about here, which was basically, yeah, our wick low, right? So as soon as those shorts started to pile in, that gave us the rocket fuel to get some sort of a relief rally there. I want to zoom into the 1 hour here. It does look like longs are starting to drop off. So if we see retail shorts continue to climb here, that, in my opinion, would be potential for a bit of a short squeeze where we could actually break through this resistance here, in which case we have to consider the possibility of retesting back to the top of the range, basically. At that point, I would basically, it's tough to say. It's not perfect, but we would have to start looking for resistance again if we pull a fib basically from our high of this range. And that resistance would start at the same STUBER fib, right? Notice that the 786 is a little bit higher. I guess it's more so in the middle of that range. But yeah, once again, showing very similar resistance to the previous swing that we just had. So just understand that once we start getting up towards, 90,000 US dollars again, just understand that we're getting into resistance territory once again. Ethereum, guys, this is another one I've been pointing out for a while. As I said yesterday on stream, Bitcoin was not the only thing flirting with resistance. Ethereum was also trading right at resistance, and notice that it actually did get right down to that 214 fib. Absolutely beautiful dump, beautiful price action. Again, I am not considering this manipulation. I am considering this very basic technical analysis. We had that STUBER fib play out, that STUBER resistance fib play out. I never caught this short. I know a few people who did based off the same strategy, the same setup. But yeah, that second target has been hit. Solana, very much the same thing. I was also talking about this on yesterday's stream. Solana was actually looking weaker to me, and you can see it actually pushed below the 214 and it hit it very quickly. 2 4-hour candles is all it took for that shutdown to end up going all the way to the 214 setup. So guys, if you do appreciate these live streams and just, again, my level-headed approach and just looking at the charts for what they are and showing this very basic technical analysis, very basic market structure, in my opinion, simply having a very strong understanding of higher highs confirming higher lows in an uptrend and lower lows confirming lower highs in a downtrend will take you so much further as a trader than any sort of overcomplicating indicators, overcomplicating fundamentals, trying to wrap your head around the entire global economy based on announcements and tweets and fundamentals and all that sort of stuff. So if you do appreciate that, some of these calls, and just basically, for one, obviously, if you are making sick gains on this downtrend, if you are joining us on that whole game, but also if these streams are helping you, helping prevent you from getting wrecked, If you do appreciate any of that, you guys do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not. It goes a long ways for a smaller channel like myself. Nice new small channel here. So taking a look at the S&P. Notice that, I've been talking about this in my last couple streams as well. Although we had a nice uptrend, and even on the trend master indicator on the daily, we still do have a nice uptrend when it loads here. We have that nice purple support line there. So we do still have a nice daily trend on the MDX Trendmaster. However, I was warning about the fact that, technically we lost the higher low, right? The fact that we had this high, we have a higher high, confirmed higher low here. We did get that break there. We got that change in character basically. But yeah, we got that. We lost that higher low basically. We came back up and we did retest that resistance pocket now. So I have mixed feelings about it. Obviously a very strong uptrend. However, that is the warning shot that we may be starting to downtrend. Basically have to invalidate and set a new all-time high at this point to invalidate that as a bearish signal there. Gold basically getting up to my macro resistance once again. Got very close to my 786 there. We'll see if it ends up getting hit or not. Same thing, right? Gold obviously has been parabolic. It's been in a very strong uptrend. But basically when we lost this structure, or if you want to call it this one, either way, we lost the uptrend of the micro uptrend basically on the 4 hour. Ended up losing a whole bunch of levels actually. So there's no question about it. At this point, it's still obviously a very strong uptrend, but again, we basically need to set new all-time highs to invalidate the bearish side of things at this point because we lost our uptrend, right? So at this point, got to respect resistance for what it is, very close to the 786. And basically, if we were to lose the micro structure on this uptrend here, I would assume that's a sign of weakness, and we might do something like this before carrying on a little bit lower. We will have to see with that. But yeah, I hope you're all doing fantastic. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I hope you all crushed that short as it was laid out for you guys nice and clean yesterday. Absolutely love to see it. So hopefully you guys are surviving and absolutely thriving in these market conditions. Love to see so many familiar faces in these streams, you guys. You guys obviously love hearing what I have to say, or at least respect my opinion, or just like the sound of my voice. I really don't know, but thank you so much for being here with me, my friends. But yeah, guys, I think that's about all I really wanted to go over today. So one last time, if you do appreciate these live streams, please do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And just a reminder for those of you who are interested in learning and seeing more examples of some of my favorite trade strategies, how I use Fibonacci's and market structure, and just give more of my thoughts on the market in general, some of my trade setup ideas, and all that sort of good stuff. Do yourselves a favor, scan the QR code on the screen to get into my private Telegram channel. And as I had mentioned, my partners at BloFin are currently giving this new promo to my followers. So if that is something that interests you there, do yourselves a favor, again, sign up and take advantage of that and get access to my private Telegram. So with that, my friends, I think I am out. So stay safe, my friends. Thank you so much for watching once again. Peace out.